Hi friends, welcome back to our backend application using the Node.js Express.js for CRUD API implementations. In this session, we are going to complete the authentication authorization for my application. I'm going to open my Excel draw. In this, I'm going to create the authentication authorization. Authentication means verifies the identity of the user or service. Authorization means it determines the access rights or access permissions. If you see this, I'm going to add to my application as a two things one is the login component and sign up component. If you log in or registration only, if you complete the login or registration, you have to able to um, create the post or update the post or delete the post. If you're not going to log in or if you're not going to register into the application, you have to no, you're not going to do the if not going to we are not going to allow the create the post and update the post or delete the post. You have to only see the post. I have written in the public routes also. If you see this public routes, I have mentioned the only getting all the posts. This is the public. You have to without login. You can check here. You write no login is required. No login required. Here in the private routes, login and registration required. Login or sign up is required. Sign up is required in the private source. I'm going to my application. First, you have to do the authentication and authorization. You have to create the user model. Here I'm going to mention the user model, few things, user controller, user routes. These three files you have to create. Come to my src folder. Here you have to create the user controller. In the controller part, create the one file called user.controller.controllers.js. Same like in the routes also you have to create the user routes. Create the user.routes.js. Here. In the models also you have to create the user.models.js. I have already created the user model and I have written the model for fields for the user. If you observe here, I have written the first I have imported the mongoose. Then using this mongoose I have created the schema. In the schema I have taken the four fields. One is the username, email, and full name and password and timestamp. In this timestamp enables the few things one is the created at this when the user is created and updated at these two things is able to allow the using these timestamps. In this here I'm going to create a few more middlewares two middlewares I'm going to enable that are called one is the password encryption, another one is the generating the access token. If you do these two things, you have to install the two libraries. One is the for password encryption, encrypting the password. I'm going to install the bcrypt. Bcrypt will able to it is used to encrypt the passwords. And one more is the JSON web token. Using this JSON web token, we are going to bind our data as a token, and I'm going to send this token to the my front end part. If you want to if you do the authorization in that kind of things, you have this token will be able to first this token will be checked. This JSON web token will be checked, and then we're going to that user is going to have the permission to access this. This token helps to helps the suppose I'm going to see able to make it as the understandable using the diagrammatic. First here, suppose this is the user. Suppose this is the browser. In this browser, first I have did the I'm going to do the login. These things I'm going to perform. These things I'm going to perform. This is the suppose this is a server. In this server, this is a backend application. You can think is that this is a backend application. In this, suppose DB, this is a database. You can name it as a this is a UI. This is a server. Make it as a server, and this is a DB. I'm going to take the I'm taking the here short names. These three things. If you do the login and there is a submit button also, login button also. Suppose I'm doing the login. I'm entered here my credentials like a username and password. Username and password. I have clicked on the submit button. Okay, make it as a submit. Here, create the submit. I have clicked the submit button. It will go to the request will be go to the server. Request will be go to the server. Which will be go to the server with some data. With some data like a data what request request contains the some data like email comma password email and password it contains it will go to the server this information this server thinks first it will going to check the in the database it will going to connect with the database it will going to connect with the database it will going to check first it will going to validate this first it is going to validate this email and password is whether this information is present in the DB or not. That is called as uh, validating or we'll call it as um, authenticating that the system is called as authenticating if you do the authenticate then it will going to after the completion of after successfully check this my email and password is present user is authenticated it will going to give the this data will this server is the database will give the response in the server also give the response with contains some data like it will going to give the data in the form of suppose it is it contains it will give the data how means like I'm going to write as it will going to bind email like underscore id also it is going to generate underscore id and a password is not going to bind only email and underscore id or username or full name also it will going to bind and it will going to bind this data and it will going to convert this data into the form of tokens. The token is generated using this JSON web token only. The token will be generated using this JSON web token. We are going to use the some more functionalities like JW does sign. This in the place of payload only. We are going to write this. We are going to take these things like a email ID and username and like what data we are going to bind this token we are going to take as a payload and in the secret private key and we are going to take the few things like options like what encoding technique you are going to use whether you are using the SHA-256 or whether you are using the like some encoding techniques are there like if you go to the JSON JWT actually this is the JWT actual website this here if you see this we come here algorithm like see HS256 HS386 these are encoding techniques we are going to give this encoding technique in the where is that here, like in the form of options, in the options section. First, we are going to install these two things, like what is this JSON Web Token and bcrypt. Install npm I JSON Web Token. Then second one is the password. Installation completed. Install this bcrypt also. Here I am going to use the middlewares of the mongoose. For that, I'm going to give this the documentation also. I'm going to use this some plugins or middlewares called the pre-post. These are there. I'm going to use here pre method, pre-hook. These are called hooks also. We can call as a hook also. We are going to use this schema dot pre of save. I'm going to use. There is a save, validate, and there's a so many things are there. I'm going to use the save. Save means before going to save only. Like I'm going to convert the password. Actually, we are doing the password conversion. Like actually, we are going to give the password in the form of text data or plain text. But in the database, I'm going to store this password in the form of encrypted, or in the form of hash. That's why we are going to use this schema dot pre. Pre means before the pre means previous. Before going to save our data into the DBMS, like some NoSQL, or we are going to use MySQL or NoSQL database, we are going to save our data into the before going to save our data into the, I'm going to convert my password into the encrypt my password into the in the form of um, hash hexadecimal format. That's why we are going to use this pcrypt. It is that here. I'm going to write the logic here. See, my schema name is like user schema dot pre. In this, I'm going to use the save method. Before saving, I'm going to do this logic. We do this, perform this logic in this here next. What I'm going to take, if condition I'm going to take. First, I'm going to check this. This dot is modified. I'm going to check this is modified password. I'm going to check the one. I'm going to write here one condition called if this dot is modified, like this password is when this password will be encrypted only in the form of only in the case of this password is modified. But at the first time, this will be this logic will be not performed. This logic will be not performed at the first time, but only in the case of after changing the password in the second time onwards, this logic will be called. Here, I'm going to take the not of this password. When this password is not modified, I'm going to perform the next function. You can write the better to write the return next function, or you can do the if password is modified. So suppose I'm going to changing the my password, or you have forgotten your password, or you're changing the your password by yourself only. In that case, you have to do this dot password equal to this dot password equal to so password equal to import these things, like which one, import bcrypt bcrypt. If you want to see this whether the my packages are installed or not, go to the dependencies section in the package.json. Check here bcrypt and JSON web token. The packages are installed. Come to my application here. Uh, bcrypt dot hash. We are going to use the hash sync sync method you I'm giving here this the password comma rounds. I'm going to by default I'm going to giving the 10. Here means I'm going to do the sync method, or you can call as async method also. Async method you no need to give the here. It will going to take, but you have to use the asynchronous and await keywords here. If you don't want to give the async and await keywords, you can use the sync method as a sync method. After this, you have to perform the return. You must have to perform the return next. Return next. In that case only the uh, in that case only we are going to perform the next logic. It will going to call the next logic to perform. One more thing is that this is a password hashing, password encrypting, password or encrypting. This decrypt only performs the encryption only, uh, not decryption. But in the JSON web token, we are going to encrypt our data, or it is also one encryption technique only, JSON web token also. But using this encryption technique, we are going to decrypt also. We are going to decode also. There is a way to we can decode. We are going to see while writing the middlewares only. That will also we are going to perform some middlewares also. That is called authentication middleware. Also already we have written, but I think I did not attend any authentication middleware. We are going to see while writing the authentication middleware how to write the authentication middleware, how to decode that this um, token into the normal data. We are going to see using that middleware. Here I'm going to generate access token. Generate access token. For that, for generating this access token, I'm going to take the one function from one method. I'm going to take the one user defined method called this one. I'm going to using this method only, like not map this method, like I'm going to write same like this method. How return this method like a same like I'm going to write that method generating the access token. First user schema, take the user schema dot methods dot what is the I'm going to access token generate access token equal to function. I'm going to take the normal functions only, normal anonymous functions here. You can take the I'm not going to take any data. I'm going to take the data from the this keyword only. This keyword automatically gives the all the fields here. Return. For this, I'm going to import. For generating this, I'm going to import one more library called JWT from JSON Web Token. JWT from the JSON Web Token. JWT.sign in. We are already seen here where this JWT.sign in. Sign. This method we are going to use. First, I'm going to pass the payload. Payload means this data. Payload means I'm going to take the ID this dot underscore ID. Next ID column this dot underscore ID. Next I'm going to take the uh, email this dot email. These things only required for these things only I'm going to convert into the in the form of tokens. You can take our username and full name also, but I'm going to take only ID and user email only. Next is a next is the secret key. I'm going to create the secret key in the env dot. Here I'm going to create secret secret key. Let me take the access secret key. You can take anything. going to take post post API services. Okay. If you want to access this in the models, come here, process dot env dot. I'm going to secret access key. Next one is you can take the options. Options like a here options in the algorithm default HS 256 There is a more options also there, but we are going to use this one only. One is algorithm HS 256 by default. Expires in. I'm going to take the uh, 1 hour, 4 hours. I'm going to take that. After 4 hours, my token will be expires. This creating this, generating the access token is completed. Password hashing or encrypt is completed. We are going to come to the user controller. In this section, first I'm going to import the few things. One is like where is the utils? These things I'm going to import. First you have to do create the logic async from dot slash utils slash async handler. Next API, go to the utils and go to the this one, take this and come to the user model, sorry, user controller, come here, copy and paste. If you forgot the names, you can copy and paste. Utils utils slash API error. Next one is import API response from slash utils slash API response. Don't forget the .js. You will it will throw an error while running the application. If you see this, you can run the application npm run dev only, npm run dev. It will take a lot of like MongoDB connection successful. We got the DB host name and database name, and server is running on the port number 7662. If you want to check, I'm going to the my postman. Come here. Where is that REST API? Read post API and the post API. Here this one is the health check. First, I'm going to check the health check. If we click on this send button, status code we got the 200 and the data is okay. Successful. If we come to the my application, see there is no things here. We are going to write small thing here, small middleware here. I'm going to write before handling this. The app itself only I'm going to write here common middlewares. I'm going to write here one user defined middleware for knowing purpose of the which method is calling through front end or through postman services. Here that's why for app.use I'm going to create that middleware in the middleware section. Here I'm going to create uh, make it as a app middleware.js. This I'm going to create one user own middleware, user app middleware, user app. Here I'm going to take the controller of request, control of request, comma, response, comma, next function. Here in this, I'm going to take the write the console function like the which time and date, date dot now. First, I'm going to write the date. Then I'm going to write the request method which method I called through which method we called like request dot method. Then we have to write the which URL which URL like request dot URL. Then you have to take the next must and should you have to import user app. Right user app use app. I'm going to take use app. Or you can take the monitoring also. Monitoring, monitor, monitor app, copy, paste, and same thing. And the app also take the import this import monitor app from where it is slash okay dot slash middleware slash app dot middleware dot js. Yeah, see my server is running. If you try to go to the my postman, if you try to click on the I have written here get method and I have written the URL also. If you try to give the send, if you click on the send button, you will able to see the some message in the console. See in the which date dot now and method is get method we called and URL is slash. If you take the one more like in the app get all post the in the app post tab section. If you do if you try to click on the send button in the get method, I'm calling the API slash v1 slash post. If you click on the send button, see I got the all the post. If you go to the your application here see which router I have called and like which method I have called and which URL I have triggered. You will able to see this one. This is the endpoint or you can call it as a URL. This is a method I have called. Through this method I have called this API slash v1 slash posts. And this is the time. Date dot now. So, once again, do I want to do not like this. I'm going to get the actual date. If you click on this send button, yeah, now I got the actual date. Instead of the number, instead of this in the form of milliseconds, I got the actual date. Indian Standard Time. If you click on this health check also, send button, I got this one. See, some monitoring is going on through this app.middleware.js. Some monitoring is doing like monitoring means like what method we are hitting and what URL we are triggering. Through this, we are going to see. Sure. User routes.js. In the user controller.js, we are going to write the first register user async request comma response comma next. This is a asynchronous. Why? Because of we are in this inside this method we are going to inside this function we are going to write the asynchronous calls like after this I'm going to write the all the first I'm going to write the all the functionalities like login user and registration user and get user async, async, request comma, response comma, next, then get user, get user information, sync handler, request comma, response comma, next, of, and export this also. Export this register user and login user and get user. These three things. We are going to write the logic for these three things in the next session. We are going to see these three things and we are going to connect with the routes also. We are going to see these three things in the next session. We are going to in-depth concept of registration user and login user and get user in the next session. If you like my content or if you like my explanation, please like and subscribe my channel and support my channel.